Final topic of the night, the coup de grace, as it were. Rebel Moon, the director's cut, and the future of streaming and cinema. So we talked about the Red Band trailer before when we had the original Analyzing a Hero's Journey live stream. Sky and myself had the pleasure of watching this theatrically in the Egyptian theater. And first and foremost, I'll just say that obviously the director's cuts are superior versions. Um, my favorite of the two would be part two. Freaking love part two. It
I don't
did.
know. I kind of prefer the Netflix cut. I thought,
No, you
I
didn't. No, you didn't. Get out of here.
I don't know. I mean, just different personalities, different tastes, different cuts.
It's smoother, it's cleaner, bro.
I don't know.
It didn't need the propaganda, but no. Yeah, part two. It to me it hit like all the buttons for me: emotion, drama, action, the narrative, the seeing the backstory of all the characters. I loved it all. It truly was an ensemble piece. Really dope film. I wanted to get honestly. Let's start with Mike.
Wait, did you just check the back check, bro?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Let's start with Sky then. Let's start with
Yeah.
Sky. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
start with Sky.
I'm gonna go first because I'm having some technical difficulties over here.
I'm gonna let you finish, but
Right.
Oh my god. Anyway, look, bruh. See, I wish I could stay, man. Anyway, look, because this is what I've been trying to talk about. Seeing these cuts in theaters, was amazing. First and foremost, I don't think that any version of this film invalidates the other. I don't think that we get this film to this level like we got it if we don't get those PG-13 cuts. Seeing the true difference in the maturity level, the violence level, the sexuality level, I totally get why you could not market this film in the same way, which is what they were trying to do with this fledgling franchise, right? Like they wanted to get it out there in front of as many people as possible, right? When this was first coming out. So they did spots like NFL Sunday, right? During like huge games, right? Very family friendly entertainment. That's where they were doing the bulk of their marketing, right? And so that's why it had the crazy start that it had, was because of them being able to market to a wider audience, right? I do not think that it would have been possible in any sort of the same manner to market this film to the same level with some of the things that are going to be in there, right? So be that as it may, I already judge these films independently of one another. Um, you know, I'm not sure. Well, so much of the chatter seems to be kind of surrounding, I think, an attempt to get Netflix to kind of shift their strategy and not continue with these PG-13 versions. But I'm sorry to say, like Zach has already said that they already planned for that, and that these worlds would get further and further apart as the stories go on. So I think that it's genius to have a family friendly version so that you can sell toys to little kids and all that stuff, right? Like you can't sell toys to kids with just the director's cuts, people. Like you don't get the $166 million budget without the PG-13 cuts. Like
You don't get the R cuts without the PG-13.
yeah, right. And I just don't think that there has been a lot of understanding of the financial aspect, because it's been super clear. And I think that Netflix has done a tremendous job marketing. Like, yo, you had so many people questioning where the marketing was leading up to the release of this film. Not only was this thing coming right after that SpongeBob movie that just hit the damn platform, right? But also they put on a week-long convention in Los Angeles,
Facts.
right? With catered food, an open bar, right? And literally had this man's filmography playing in a theater where fans could, congregate and watch these things. People flew in. I mean, it was by planes, trains, and automobiles, right? So, I don't use this version to minimize those other versions at all. I think that these things are their own beast, their own animal, and you know, any thought that the fucking internet would have not reacted the same way if just the director's cuts came out, I think that's very fucking disingenuous. Like, we've seen that nothing that this man puts out is gonna get put out and
Same
just
here, Josh.
universally regarded like that, right? So,
Right.
Any type of notion that, oh man, people would have really been rocking out with it, like, yo, the people that was rocking out with this film rocked out with it, and the people that didn't weren't. They were never going to, right? Did that article from Variety sound? Wait, this dude said he still didn't know why the shit exists at all. Right? That's literally
The one
in the
from Variety?
headline. Yeah, that was in the headline. Right? So, I just think that we have to be honest when we're having these conversations, right? like there was no upside to just putting out the director's cuts. I think they did a masterful job of putting out a fucking version that the general audience could interact with, and then giving us hardcore Zack fans this version, and then allowing his biggest fans to fly in and to partake in a week-long fucking Snyder Con, pretty much. So, nah, man. I loved these films, both of them. Is they are vastly superior. I don't know why everybody's acting like they're shocked at the fact that they're better. Like, oh my god, these are so much better. Like, it was
And
so
then
much
using
taken
it
out.
as like
The
a
shit is over.
weapon, using it as a weapon against the 13 versions. That's weird to me.
The shit is over an hour longer each version. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, of course shit was going to be taken out. Like, what do we expect? And it's a completely different version of it. It's not even sequenced the same.
Right.
Things are literally happening at different points in the story between these two cuts. So, no, they're different versions. And I think that they did a masterful job of being able to market this thing and have a family-friendly version that they will continue to have, that will drive toy sales and merchandising and t-shirts and Jimmy Bluetooth speak, all the stuff that they've been putting out, right? All that wonderful stuff that comes, and it is as big as it is because of the PG-13 cut. So I don't feel shortchanged at all. I feel well fucking fed as a fan of Zack Snyder. So any
That's my
to the fucking
sentiment.
contrary, I just think it's kind of weird. I do gotta go, unfortunately. But yo, like, I appreciate being able to be on the platform. Thank you, Leon. And also,
Hey, for
shout
sure.
out to Millennial Mike for coming in here and holding it down. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Real talk.
I love it, man. It was intense.
hey, it's all good because we can have these conversations, and it's all as long as we're having talks that are in good faith, that's all that I'm worried about. You know what I'm saying? Say whatever, but you better believe this shit.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I haven't said anything yet.
Go for it, Mike. Yeah. Go for it, Mike. But Sky, you got to.
I do got to go. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well, catch the VOD.
Oh no, I'm about to put y'all on right now, so don't even trip.
All right, hey, take care, Sky.
I'm probably gonna be screaming at the fucking TV.
Yeah,
shaking my fist, shaking my fist,
and you want to be able to respond,
right?
But don't worry, you can live. You can live vicariously through Leon, though.
Hey, you better hold it down, bro. You better hold it down.
Yeah, you already know. I got it. I'm not gonna flounder on my own channel. Let's be honest. Let's be real. I may be a chill host,
holding the narrative. Oh, take care, Sergeant. By the way, take care. Thank you for coming.
Oh yeah, for sure. Take care, brother.
Peace.
And you take care too, Sky.
And okay, Fud's still in with us. Okay, so here's the situation. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you see the Netflix version of Rebel Moon as a necessity, correct?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So this is what I've been developing my philosophy on because all this has been coming out. There's been so many discussions and new points and articles. And there's always something new coming up on social media. So some of my things I've been kind of morphing my philosophy a little bit. I'm not saying the exact same thing as I was before the cuts even came out.
Yeah.
But it still has a similar tone.
Gotcha.
The issue that I have is with people's faith in Netflix. I think that's the real issue that I have, because people have become, I feel personally that we've become so broken down that we've adopted kind of this loser mentality. Like, we believe, okay, this top-down system, this is oppressive, it's complete, and there's no way around it. So the only way around it is to basically trick people into watching his movie while in the back you deliver his actual movie, basically. And there is no other way around it, right? The people who went to the theater to watch Batman v Superman weren't really crying in the theater, so they weren't really enjoying it. That people in real life don't actually really like it, right? And then we turn over to Rebel Moon and say, oh well, this can't happen because of the forces that be, that are oppressing us, right? So I think that people have so much faith in Netflix's specific way of doing it, and they have less faith that Zack's movies can actually deliver. And what I'm trying to say is deliver what? Like what it is. Well, see, we don't know what success means, especially with a Netflix streaming franchise. Like, the truth is that they kind of make the decision based on several factors. One of the greatest factors being retention. That's actually the number one greatest factor, because they will keep movies that don't get as many views on their platform, and they'll make sequels as long as they have other projects that can keep overall retention up. And that's how it's always been. It's like artistic movies kind of are supported by the less artistic movies. But what we're seeing here is this new paradigm where we're trying to induce this within each movie. So we have a version that's less artistic and a version that's more artistic to kind of justify itself, right? Is this good or bad? I don't know. I have bad vibes about it, and I've been trying to get to the bottom of it. I think that
here's my thing, right? So just to respond to some of what you're saying so far, I don't have faith in Netflix per se like that. Nor am I dissatisfied. I think that over time they've evolved into a company that stewards, let's say auteurs, let's say art house guys, let's say guys who are independent, more so than other bigger studios do. So that in and of itself, I think they deserve a bit of an applause, a little bit of a pat on the back for that, right? No, I'm just gonna be outright with it. Yeah, they fucking do. They do. Because I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, Zach got turned down by every studio with all of his ideas after the debacle, but with Warner Brothers. So to me, that in and of itself, that has led his fandom into being faithful towards Netflix. I mean, wouldn't you agree to that at least before I continue?
I think that the options always present themselves as in real time. Okay. Netflix might not be the final answer, right?
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying thus far, with the reality of Zach being basically, I'm not even going to say shunned or use words that are kind of, leading terms because we don't know. When we know damn well we do know, Zach has been turned down by studios like Warner Brothers because of the debacle. For whatever reason, it's almost like he's been seemingly like blackballed or blacklisted. I don't know about now, but there was a time where it seemed that way. Netflix comes along and says, you can come over here, do your thing over here. And just focusing on that thought, wouldn't you agree that they deserve some form of praise or a thank you or of some sort from the consumer?
Well, okay, no. And the reason for that is because no one who you're paying with your money, your time, or attention deserves your thanks. But that's a whole different thing.
Well, you just said that. You just told me that we're thanking them because we just paid our time and our money. I'm not even saying you have to verbalize it.
Well,
but you're doing it via action.
Okay, well, I don't follow. I don't follow. This is what I'll say. The frustration that I've had is just things on Twitter, which isn't real, really.
Okay.
It doesn't have any impact. It's just the narrative. So we're both having a spirited debate about people's opinions and stuff that ultimately doesn't matter. Like, for instance, it doesn't matter how much
my opinion isn't necessarily about the people's opinion. See, because you're coming at it from like the layman crowd barking into the ether. I'm looking at it from, unfortunately, I guess, for the conversation, top down. I'm looking at the business side of it. I'm looking at the symbiotic nature of business. I'm looking at it from studio meets artist to consumer, and the cycle feeding into one another, the symbiotic nature of that. That's where I'm looking at it. And I'm trying to figure out why there are individuals out here that are seemingly they're not even in mass. They don't even represent a large group of people. They represent a small group of loud motherfuckers who claim sometimes to be Zack fans, who are complaining about the symbiotic nature of what has taken place with Rebel Moon. And I'm trying to figure out why there's a problem when thus far, because you said we can't measure what success is with them, but we also, if we're saying that, we can't measure failure either, because as it stands, they haven't failed with this launch of this franchise.
Well, that's true. And if that were the case, then the narrative is all that matters, which I don't necessarily think is true either. But
I don't think it's the narrative matters either. I think I get what you're saying. Like, if we can't measure failure or success, then it's a narrative. But I think my point is, I think we can measure success. I think we can. That's my point. I was being cynical, or not. I was being sarcastic when I said we can't measure. We can. because they gave him a finite budget, and in that finite budget, he made 2 movies, and then
Well,
technically kind of 4.
this thing is a success, and I think that a lot of people are saying, "Hey, like, let's enjoy this moment and appreciate it," and I do. But it just this is kind of my concern, right? And I'm just being, I guess, like a kind of a paranoid concern, kind of schizophrenic or something like that. It's just
Okay.
that, like, I know Netflix has a past with letting a lot of good things slip through their fingers. Okay, and they're all been conveniently forgotten. Now, it was a triumph when they had Mindhunter, for instance. I keep going back to that one, but there are other projects onto their platform, and that should have been praised. But I think that there are a lot of things that are forgotten about, that are dismissed, that are kind of just memory hold, to kind of completely focus on the hype and the good vibes and all that, as well as to deflect from any criticism. Because the thing is, what happens, people try to spin narratives out of complete falsities, but also out of partial truths as well. And I think that if we completely reject any possibility that there's any concern with the way that Netflix is doing things, that we're also going to be rejecting and dismissing potential possibilities as well. So I'll end that particular thought at that thought there.
Yeah, I think. See, the thing, the thing is, like, I keep circling back to what has galvanized these. I'm kind of being facetious here. These few small people into coming up with this idea that the PG-13s are inferior, and that they inferior in the worst way, not just like if we're saying which one's better than the other. You're saying in a derogatory way, right?
Well,
So wait,
the truth of the matter.
real quick.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
there's that, but there's also this idea that Netflix somehow fumbled the release when, if we're being honest,
That
and
was how it was planned.
this may, yes, exactly. This may ruffle people's feathers, but the director's cuts are not supposed to be viewed as the thing that Netflix is waving their flag and selling. The director's cut are the dessert to the meal that you can put in mass. And you can compare it. I wouldn't compare it to some bullshit like McDonald's. We're talking a restaurant chain that serves good food. We're talking, I don't know, Cheesecake Factory. We're talking a chain that serves good food you could take a date to.
I understand.
And
I don't
think
that's not a good analogy at all, for several reasons, which I won't pick apart. But I understand.
I know you're nitpicky, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying, and so do the.
Let me bring in some alternative thoughts here. Okay. So there's a few things that here's one thing that we could talk about. So the desire to frame it in this way seems to be disingenuous, because people know that this
Which
was
way? Oh, the way that I described that.
Yes.
The people are framing it.
Yes, correct.
Yes,
correct.
It is very disingenuous.
Right. That it was a fumble because, and ultimately, so I agree with that, and we all know that there's a narrative against Zack that caused this to happen. Right. So, because it's like, okay, the unhealthy dessert at the end is a thing that no one eats their dinner to get to the dessert. They eat their dinner because that's the nourishment, and then they get their dessert as like a bonus. And so it's a terrible analogy. Sorry, Dan.
Well, then I'll trade the dessert for the appetizer. Was the PG-13 versions, and appetizers are the shit. They are. I mean, they give you that taste of something better to come, and then you get your dinner.
Well, talk about layman, but yeah, I get it. I know your intent.
I'm just trying to fight you on the analogy thing. No, yeah. But I get what you're saying. But continue your thought.
So yeah, it's just disingenuous. This is honestly probably the least interesting part to talk about, because we both agree. We both know that there's this attack on Zack and that's real and everything like that. So there's not really anything else to say. And basically what most people will tell you if you get them alone and it's not like in public is that, hey, it's like,
Retro.
don't say the negative thing in public because it will add to the narrative, even if it is true, and I get that, it's like, whatever. I'm not, my goal isn't just to equip haters. My goal is to go into it with a realistic understanding, because I think the truth of the matter will allow us to operate in a way that is going to be the most befitting.
Wait, but where are we getting this? Not for you, Mike. I'm just asking this. Where are we getting this from? But the general public did not treat those. Who? What did you take a survey? And I'm not coming at you directly, Josh. I'll just treat you as sort of an avatar for my question. Where are we getting this from? Did we take a large sample size survey? Because I don't know anybody that really didn't like the movies.
Okay. Well, this is something else I was going to bring up, and I think it will play into what Josh is saying.
In the general public.
Okay. So listen to how so those of us who defend the Netflix cuts, listen to how we defend it. We will say things like, this is for a different audience. It's a PG-13 cut, right? I actually made a whole graph, which I think I've sent to you already.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Right. So these are kind of like the ratings fundamentalists. What they're saying is that, the fundamental difference between these two movies is just the rating, just the way that the MPAA or whatever, who I guess it's the MPAA in this case, or Netflix, because they kind of skirt around that, I think. They framed it, right? The explicitness of it, and not so much the narrative, the substance, like what the movies actually are. That's what is fundamental about it. And I think that we'll say things like, this is something for kids to enjoy. This is something, as if you can't have a PG-13 masterpiece, right? Like there's no reason a movie has to be bad, right?
So is your argument that the two movies are bad? The PG-13 version?
Well, not necessarily, but You'll oftentimes hear people defend the movies as being like purposefully compromised, while at the same time, like,
well, they are.
Well, right. So then
and
they are
nothing wrong with that.
Then they are bad.
Well, fundamentally to you, but are arguing quality, I guess that's a whole other thing. I think quality-wise, they're good movies. If they are purposefully compromised, we just talked about what compromise is, right? Earlier. Or we talked about the notion of compromise. I don't know if we extrapolated the definition, but
right. Well, when we say this, we're talking about in a way that's more fundamental than like, okay, you have to work with your writers and your DP and your gaffers and your people on set, and you have to get them meals. And
I think that this is just a unique to Zack experience where we're trying to make it deeper than what it is. I think he did the basic compromises that one would do in order to create a PG-13 version that is digestible for general audiences, so that he can create a franchise for a company that is making sure that he can get his art out. Like that's what I think it is. He sat down because look, we can, both of us and everybody else, I'm not gonna lie, I'm seeing a lot of disingenuous conversation go on mostly online, but not necessarily saying this is why you're here. I don't feel like you're being disingenuous. I think that you have ideas, and I just want to know the why of a person such as yourself. But okay, my point is, we can sit here and do the art house film fan thing and just talk about how directors should have their original versions out and all this other bullshit. But I can't do that. I mentally can't, because I know that business exists, and I know Zack walked into a meeting and had a movie, and they talked about every manner of version of this movie and how they can make it work for the platform and Zack. That's what I got from every conversation, every interview, every piece of detail is that Zach went into a meeting with a movie and they walked out with this, which is PG-13s are going to be for the general audience. We're trying to get subscribers. We're trying to keep subscribers. And oh, by the way, there's a director's cut coming as well. I think it's quite brilliant that he went in and they went in with he's the director's cut guy. We're going to jump off of that brand. And I don't know. I can't understand, me personally, can't understand why that would be negative or bad or anything. I don't know. That's just me though.
Well, there's a few different reasons. Some reasons I can articulate, and some reasons I'm still like working on. I'm in active, I'm in progress, right? So one reason is that this creates a situation where people are actually incentivized to make a version that is less integral, that's less authentic, so that they have something more authentic to release later. Okay. So what I'm saying, I trust Zach enough to believe that he made his version as best as possible, and that he then cut it down to a version that is more accessible, right? But I know that in the meta for going forward, what this means for the future of streaming and cinema, as you have in your discussion here, that this could be reverse engineered to actually further the commoditization and the contentification of movies and cinema.
Well, to that I say, be upset or negative at the future.
Well, that's just
not the present. Yeah. Because let's say tomorrow some jackass, or not tomorrow, not the literal tomorrow, but 2-3 years from now, some jackass, because we see this in filmmaking all the time. Casino, Batman Begins and the Dark Knight trilogy came out. Then there was Casino Royale. Then there was the Spider-Man. Like, they started doing all these grounded works. The grounded works thing took off, and then we saw the same thing with MCU, where everybody wanted to do bathos in every fucking movie, no matter what it was, right? We see the tropes. So I get what you're saying, not tropes, but the stealing of ideas that seemingly work for a cash grab. I get it. So my response to that one piece that you just said would be, get mad at the future, not now. Now, to me, this is somewhat innovative. This is somewhat kind of fucking genius, kind of fucking brilliant, in my opinion. I'm not gonna get upset at the present because of the potential of the past or the future being marred with people who aren't auteurs and are just going to make a half-ass effort in order to sell an extended version later. You know what I mean?
Fud Rock brings out a good point, counterpoint to what I said. He said that if what I said was true, then the nature of innovation itself would be detrimental.
That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, we cannot be afraid of the present because of the potential of the future. It's what are we doing in life then if we're not swinging and
that is true. Swing, That is true. However, and I've always mentioned this, incentives can be changed. They can be altered, right? And to think that you can always come forward with new innovations without also changing the incentive so that way it best benefits the end product is foolish, So I get that, and there's honestly we're in a murky area where we don't really have any. So on that one particular point, we don't really have anything to say because it hasn't happened yet. That's just one concern that I have.